Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Now today I'm going to be looking at Ren once again. Normally I don't like looking at an artist after I've, this soon after checking them out for a first time, but occasionally I do make an exception. And when I looked at Ren for the first time a few days ago when I looked at the track High Ren, which was suggested to me by Bladed Thesis, one of my Patreon patrons. And it was my first time looking at the artist. About a year or so ago, there was a huge noise around the artist, but I never actually got around to looking at it. So, of course, a few days ago, I took my first foray into Ren's music, and I found him incredibly fascinating. He was very unusual, but brilliant. The symbolism he used in his videos, and the way he wrote his lyrics, it was very, very interesting, and it was very, very clever. I really, really enjoyed it. And I found him absolutely fascinating. I said I really wanted to investigate him further. And I got an overwhelming response to the video that I put out. I got literally hundreds of renegades, which I believe is the colloquial term for fans of Ren. I had loads of them commenting on my video saying, they thought it was a great reaction, and that really, it does mean the world to me. Loads of people said they really liked the way that I took an in-depth look at the lyrics, which again, that means a hell of a lot to me, and, thank you so much. Although, many people did point out that I spent a lot of time reading the lyrics instead of watching the video. And that's a fair comment, because normally when I do my videos, I'll watch the video, and I will be paying attention to the video, but I'll normally have the lyrics off to the side and I'll be reading them alongside. But, people said, you missed a lot of the nuance that was in the video. You should have paid more attention to the actual video and then read the lyrics afterwards. Fair enough. Duly noted. Because, I did make mention of some of the elements of the video, like the way the lighting changed depending on which persona, let's say, was speaking at the time. There was the negative voice, which, the lighting changed, his voice changed. I did mention that. And, when the more positive, optimistic side spoke, the lighting sort of brightened a bit, and his voice changed depending. But there were other elements, apparently, that I did miss. That's fair enough. It's a fair enough comment, Like I say, I normally try and pay attention to the videos, and, I normally pick up things here and there, but apparently there was a lot that I missed. So I have taken that on board. And in the hundreds of comments that I got on looking at High Ren, everybody suggested, or not everybody, but a majority of people suggested I look at a track called The Tale of Jenny and Screech. And it's been specifically said that I need to look at the entire thing. Because apparently it's 3 separate songs, but all 3 need to be looked at the same time. So that's what I'm going to do today. Now, this video is close to, I think it's 14, maybe 15 minutes in length, so this is going to be a long video, because I am going to be talking in depth about the lyrics afterwards as well. And with the High Ren video, that one ran for over 40 minutes. And I didn't even go through all of the lyrics, which again is something that a few people picked up on, saying I missed out certain aspects of the lyrics, which I really should have paid attention to. Again, duly noted, normally if a song has got a hell of a lot of lyrics like that one did, I won't normally go through the whole lot. But apparently there was some elements within the lyrics that I sort of skipped over. That wasn't intentional. I wasn't picking and choosing. I just felt people might get bored of me talking endlessly about the lyrics. But to change that, I'm going to watch the entire video, the whole 14-15 minutes. Then I will be talking about the lyrics, trying to go through all of them as best I can, trying my best not to miss anything, because I do find him fascinating, and the way he wrote High Ren was interesting and fascinating to me. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. So we're going to be looking at the Tale of Jenny and Screech, all 3 parts. I have lyrics here, but I'm going to pay attention to the video first, then we'll look at the lyrics afterwards. I will try my best not to look at the lyrics off to the side, but I have them there. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. I'm very interested and very fascinated because people did say his songs do switch genres quite a lot as well, and the styles do change quite a bit. So I'm intrigued to see how different this is from High Rent, if it's any different at all. So, you know, I've had dozens and dozens of different songs by Ren suggested to me, but overwhelmingly this song, The Tale of Jenny and Screech, was the one that was suggested to me the most. And you know, I found him very, very interesting, so I felt the need to look at it again. So we'll jump into this and see what we have now. Before we do that, if you could just take a moment to like and subscribe if you haven't already, it really would mean the world to me. I've just recently hit 10,000 subscribers thanks to my Ren video, ironically. You know, I've hit 10,000 subscribers, and that means the world to me. You know, I honestly never thought I would get that far. You know, I've been doing this for about 6 years. But even at that point, you know, not even 3% of people watching my videos are actually subscribed. And that's a little bit disheartening because, you know, I like to think I do something slightly different than most other reactors do. You know, they'll look at a song and go, yes, I liked it, or no, I didn't like it. And that's pretty much all you'll get. And as I mentioned before, I like to talk about what the song is about. You know, so I like to think I do something slightly different. So, you know, if you could like and subscribe, you know, it would mean the world to me. It doesn't cost you anything. It takes a fraction of a second and does make the biggest difference to me and the channel. But anyway, enough of waffling on. I'm very excited to check this out. So we're going to be looking at The Tale of Jenny and Screech. It is all 3 songs. So we'll jump into this and see what we've got. So let's have a look.
It was a quiet, dark night in an empty street somewhere in London City. Jenny walked alone, she was dragging her feet. She was heading back home to sleep. Well, she knew this town, she knew this floor, because she walked it about 1,000 times before she wanted to escape. Can you blame? Well, on the very same night, in a different place, there walked this hooded young youth by the name of James. He was 14 years old and out of his brain, he'd been smoking ganja with the boys. James, he grew up to be a kid of the street. His mates called him Screech, he was quick on his feet. He was a liar, a thief, at 14 years old, the devil had set his sights on his soul. As Jenny walked home all alone, she felt scared. Usually she was alright, but it was like there was something in the air. A divine intervention telling her to beware, maybe intuition bogging her and making her so scared. Sirens sound in the distance to the beat of Jenny's feet. A symphony of the night that echoes crime on London streets. Jenny turns a corner, their eyes they meet. Up or go Jenny, a boy named Screech. Give me all your money, bitch, give it to me. If you cooperate, then you'll soon be free. I want your purse, your phone, don't fucking look at me. I mean it, bitch, are you listening to me? Jenny freezes statue like a lady shakes stalactite. Feel like liquid nitrogen in the dark night. She tried to find strength to move, but stayed as still as a statue in high-heeled shoes. What the hell you playing at? You playing games with me? I swear to fucking God, I'll slice the rosy off your cheeks. You think I don't mean it, girl? You don't know me. The last thing you see will be a boy code. Screech reached with the sheath of the blade, with the teeth that could bite through steel and slice concrete, and he swung possessed with the devil in his chest, and the statue she was turned to butter in her breath. It was a quiet, dark night in an empty street somewhere in London City. Jenny lay still on the cold concrete. She's found somewhere to sleep. Well, she knew this town, she knew this floor, 'cause she'd walked it about 1,000 times before. I guess that she escaped. It's such a shame. Our story, it starts right at the end. At the life of poor Jenny, clocked out like Big Ben. Dear Screech, dear boy, where did he go? He melted into the black night just like snow. Patrick, man, let me in, please open the door. I think I fucked up, Patrick, really fucked up, man, I'm not sure. I got crazy, left this lady lying still on the floor. I think I killed her, Patrick, come on, man, I can't knock no more. But Screech kept on knocking till his knuckles became sore. But there's no sign of Patrick down at number 54. No refuge for our villain, for the bitter hands of fate, with something far more sinister in mind that does away. Hey, babe, are you in? Nah, nothing really, I'm just a bit tired, listen. Can I swing around yours for a few moments? I just really miss you, babe. What the fuck do you mean you're busy? You fucking bitch, for fuck's sakes! Siren sounds approaching like a banshee in the night. The shrill cry of justice cutting like the sharpest knife. But Screech was never one to run, not one to miss a fight. One hand upon his blade, he turned to face the blue lights. Come on then, you fucking cunts, let's fucking have you then. I am Screech, I'm the boss, I'm the ender of men. You think that uniform you're wearing means that you own these streets? These are my fucking streets, and they call me fucking Screech. Richard was an officer who stood at 6'3", working London on the night shift. What he didn't think he'd see was a boy running at him like an animal possessed. With no time to hesitate, he fired 4 bullets at Screech's chest. Our story, it ends right at the start. Young Screech and poor Jenny lying one street apart. An officer shaken by the boy that he claimed. 2 bodies lay lifeless, and it's such a shame. It's such a shame. London city, far from pretty, 2 005. A lady down in Paddington is fighting just to stay alive. Rhythmic beeps and bloodstained sheets. Our lady weeps, she's tired and frail. To set the scene, we must rewind the hands of time for Violet's tale. Violet was a silent girl, grew up with violent starts. Her mother was a drinker and her father was a bastard. Every night he took her tie but never left the room. I'll spare you of the things he did, I'm sure her mother knew. Violet was a silent girl, she moved out at 16. A semi-detached council flat, paid for by a welfare scheme. Packing shelves at Tesco, stacking jars like pickled bricks. She met a boy named Stevie and he was a little prick. Violet was a silent girl and Violet she fell fast. See, Stevie was a wrong un, but he sure knew how to charm her. Every night he took her tie but never left the room. History repeats itself, he'd paint her black and blue and dark. She never stood a chance. The devil comes to dance. Violet, why are you always so quiet? On her bedroom door and he's irate. He's been drinking and smoking, he's up late. And he stands by her bedside, she shakes, but her eyes stay shut. You fucking slut, I know you're up. And he pinches her eyelids and folds them up. Violet, why are you lying to me, Violet? She stays silent, things turn violent. That's the sound of his fists when they fall like a crashing pilot. Hit like hailstones, one to the collarbone, full force, full blown, blood's black bone, crack, knick, knack, paddywhack, one to the jaw when the tooth spat, detached fist connects and disconnects a bone. A quick deflect to misdirect the blow, but nonetheless his punches met her throat. Such a mess he's left her bruised and broke. Violet, why you always so silent, Violet? Why you such a little liar, Violet? Do you think I wanna do this, Violet? In character, she stays silent. Well, say something, Violet. Silence. Fucking say something, Violet. Silence. Wait. Say something, Violet. Not one word. She stays quiet. London City, far from pretty, 2005. A lady down in Paddington is fighting just to stay alive. The doctor, in a state of shock, saw something here so very wrong. See, Violet, she was pregnant. Poor Violet, she was 9 months gone. Turning to the doctor, Violet broke her silence and she cried, if I'm to die right here tonight, please let my baby stay alive. The doctor soon regained composure, called the surgeon to come in. As Violet's world turned to black, the curtains closed, the lights went dim. In London City, far from pretty, 2005. A lady down in Paddington just lost the fight to stay alive. A tragedy or a miracle, it happened on these very streets. Two twins are lying side by side. A girl named Jenny and a boy named Screech.
Jesus Christ. That That is a hell of a journey to go on. That is a spectacular piece of music. Well, I say a piece of music. It's like I say, it's 3 songs in one, but that is one hell of a set. That is one hell of a bloody set of music. That's just, and that twist at the end. This guy fascinates me. He is such a brilliant musician. The way he composes this, the way he puts this together is absolutely fascinating to me. I mean, just like with the High Ren track, it's just him and a guitar, and that's it. You know, there's no electronica involved at all. You know, there's no drum machine in the background. There's nothing else. Just this guy and a guitar. And it's brilliant. You know, because normally when you think of, I mean, let's say it like it is, you know, that it's kind of like spoken poetry, but essentially there's rap in there. And when you think of rap, you don't think acoustic guitar. But what he's done here, he's managed to merge them together in such a way. It is brilliant. It is fascinating. It's genius. And his overall performances, you know, again, you know, when he did High Ren, like I said at the beginning of the video, you know, he was taking on 2 personas in that video, sort of. You know, there was the negative voice and the positive voice in your head. And, you know, his voice changed between each persona, and the lighting and such changed depending on which one was talking. And he's done a similar sort of thing here. You know, he's got his narrator's voice, and then he had the voice of the characters. You know, like there was the voice of Screech being this sort of street thug, and you know the violent father, and I can't remember the name of what's his name, Stephen, I think his name was. But you know, he was using different voices to sort of bring the song to life, and he did it so very, very well. And the way he's put this together was just simply amazing. You know, it's a very minimalistic piece of music, but it draws you in, it captivates you, and it's genius. It really is. This guy is unbelievably talented. I mean, let's just take a moment to appreciate the guitar playing. You know, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant guitarist. Fantastic. Add on top of that all this stuff that he's writing. He does, from what I've been told, you know, he does these videos himself. He produces it all himself, and he does it so well. And the way he tells the story, you know, in the video, the way he tells the story is just brilliant. You know, like he's taken on the persona of this, I'm sure it was Stephen. I can't remember. But, you know, the abusive partner, you know, he was sort of shouting at would-be Violet on the floor. And then he'd turn around to face the camera and go, in his sort of like, in a narrator's voice, saying, but she stayed silent. You know, so he's switching between the two fluidly and brilliantly. And it just brings everything across. So he is a fascinating artist. I know I've used that way to describe him several times already, but he is brilliant. He is so interesting. But this story as well, I mean, to start off with, you know, well, I don't know what I was expecting really, but, you know, you got the first part of the story, you got Jenny's tale, then you've got Screech's tale, then you've got Violet's tale. And when it comes to Violet's tale, everything sort of culminates into one thing, and then there's that twist at the end that couldn't see coming from a mile off. But it was brilliantly done, brilliantly executed. And it's that very last second that you actually put it all together. It's very clever, very clever. So I'm not going to do when I did High Ren, I didn't want to go through all the lyrics because I thought it would take forever and make a very, very long video. I'm going to go through all these ones because it is just, I learned from mistakes I made in the first Ren video. You know, I missed out pieces. People thought, you know, I intentionally missed out pieces. I didn't intentionally do it. I just thought, you know, people wouldn't want to listen to me waffling on about it. So this is going to be a long video because I want to talk about the whole damn thing. So it starts off with Jenny's tale. And he did what he did again in High Ren. And he did it in 2 of the 3 parts in this song. You know, he started off with a guitar, and then he started off with a very unusual vocalization. Because like when he did High Ren, he was sort of playing his guitar, and then he came in with this weird sort of ooh, 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 ooh sort of sound, and it was very unusual, but it grabs your attention. It draws you immediately to it. It makes you pay attention. It's very clever. And he did that with Jenny's Tale and Violet's Tale. He didn't do it with Screech's part. But at that point, you know, if you're listening to all three in one, you're already invested. But it's very clever. It's very clever. But anyway, it started off with Jenny's Tale. I said, "It was a quiet, dark night in an empty street somewhere in London City. Jenny walked alone. She was dragging her feet. She was headed back home to sleep. Well, she knew this town, she knew this floor, because she'd walked it about 1,000 times before. She wanted to escape. Can you blame?" Now, in that first verse, you know, it's just talking about Jenny walking, what would seem to be very late at night through London, dragging her feet. So, suggestion that she was probably tired, weary, fed up, whatever. She was heading back home to sleep, you know, suggesting tired. She knew this town, she knew this floor, because she'd walked it 1,000 times before. Now, that sort of suggests maybe she was a prostitute, maybe. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But there's that line, she wanted to escape, can you blame? Now, it could be she wanted to escape London. I mean, I used to live down London. I didn't like it. I wanted to get away from there. But when it said she wanted to escape, can you blame it? It could be that she wanted to escape that kind of lifestyle where she was selling herself to survive, possibly. I don't know. Like, I mentioned this in comments on when I looked at High Ren. People are going, oh, you got this, that, and the other wrong. You know, it's just, I don't claim that my take on the lyrics is the correct one. That's just how I'm interpreting it. And this is why I do this part, is because I want to have that conversation. I want to know how other people interpret the lyrics, what it means to them, what it does actually mean, how maybe the artist intends it to come across. Because I don't know. I'm just reading the lyrics and saying what I think it means. I'm not saying that my interpretation is right. It's just how it comes across to me. So, like I say, it sounds like she might have been a prostitute and she wanted to get out of that lifestyle by the sounds of things. Anyway, carries on. Well, on the very same night, in a different place, there walked this hooded blonde youth by the name of James. Now, I got these lyrics off Genius Lyrics, and we've had problems with Genius Lyrics before. Because apparently the actual lyrics say this hooded young youth by the name of James. So, well, on this very same night, in a different place, there walked this hooded young youth by the name of James. He was 14 years old and out of his brain. He'd been smoking ganja with the boys. James, he grew up as a kid on the street. His mates called him Screech, and he was quick on his feet. He was a liar, a thief at 14 years old. The devil had set his sights on his soul. So this is where he introduces Screech. I mean, this isn't Screech as part of the song story yet, but it's just introducing him as the character. So he's a 14-year-old kid, apparently already doing drugs. He's a thief, a liar. You know, he's basically I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but you know, he's a troubled kid. You know, taking drugs and stealing and committing crimes out on the streets. You know, he's got no... it comes across that he's comes maybe from a broken home. He's an undisciplined child. It says here, the devil set his sights on his soul. So he is a disturbed, troubled child by the sounds of things. As Jenny walked home all alone, she felt scared. Usually she was all right, but it was like something... It's like there was something in the air, a divine intervention telling her to beware, or maybe intuition bugging her and making her so scared. Sirens sound in the distance to the beat of Jenny's feet, a symphony of the night that echoes crime on London street. Jenny turns a corner, their eyes they meet, our poor girl Jenny, a boy named Screech. So, you know, she's walked this route home many times before, and she's normally felt okay, but there's something in the air making her feel uncomfortable. You know, she's got this sort of sixth sense that something's going to happen, and she feels scared. You know, something feels different about tonight. And, you know, she can hear sirens in the distance, you know, from something or other, it doesn't specify. And, you know, she walked around the corner and she comes face to face with Screech, or James, as I believe his name was. Yeah. So she comes face to face with Screech. And It goes, give me all your money, bitch. Give it to me. If you cooperate, then you'll soon be free. I want your purse. I want your phone. Don't fucking look at me. I mean it, bitch. Are you listening to me? Jenny freezes, statue like a lady-shaped stalactite. I like that line. Fear like liquid nitrogen in the dark night. She tried to find strength to move, but she stayed as still as a statue in high-heeled shoes. So she's come face to face with Screech or James, and he's basically robbing her. He's basically mugging her, saying, give me your phone, give me your money. If you cooperate, you can be on your way. I'll leave you alone. And she's just frozen up. She's sort of gone, oh. She's freaked out. She's frozen up, and says she freezes statue like a lady-shaped stalactite. I think that's very clever. That's very clever wordplay. I like that. It's not often you'll see the word stalactite thrown into a song. Very clever. Fear like liquid nitrogen in the dark. So she's literally frozen in fear. What the hell are you playing at? You playing games with me? I swear to fucking God, I'll slice the rosy off your cheeks. You think I don't mean it, girl? You don't know me. The last thing you see will be a boy called. Screech reached for the sheath of the blade with the teeth that could bite through steel and slice concrete, and he swung possessed with the devil in his chest, and the statue that she was turned to butter in a breath. That is an amazing piece of imagery he's used there. It's very, very clever. But, because she's frozen up and, she's frozen with fear, he thinks that she's just messing with him. He's saying, what are you doing? Just give it to me, otherwise I'll fucking cut you, bitch, basically. You think you don't, do you think I'm messing with you? Do you think, just standing there scared like that, I'm just going to leave you alone? No, I want your money and I want your phone, give it to me now. And obviously she's still like that, so he grabs for the sheath of the blade with the teeth. That sort of suggests maybe like a combat knife or a Bowie knife, that's got the serrated on the back edge. Suggests that sort of thing. And he swung possessed with the devil in his chest, so anger, so, whatever, anger, frustration, whatever. He swings out and he attacks her with the knife. And it says there, the statue that was turned to butter in a breath. That is an absolute genius line. It's very clever. So she was like standing stock still, frozen like a statue. But the moment he's stuck that knife in, she's just collapsed. Just very clever. I like it's very clever wording, brilliant imagery, because it paints the portrait of what he's trying to say so brilliantly. It's very clever. It was a quiet dark night on an empty street somewhere in London Street. Jenny laid still on the cold concrete. She's found somewhere to sleep. Well, she knew this town, she knew this floor, 'cause she'd walked it 1,000 times before. I guess that she escaped. It's such a shame. So that kind of mirrors the first verse of the song there, where she was walking home late at night, somewhere in London Street, quiet, dark street, but saying now she's lying on the cold concrete because, she's laying there bleeding, possibly even dead at this point. It says there she's found somewhere to sleep, so it suggests that she is dead. She knew this town, she knew this floor, she didn't know it. I guess that she escaped, so she's no longer in that life, in that city. She is now dead, and he says it's such a shame. So, she was just walking home doing what she does every night. She meets James or Screech. He tries to mug her. It goes wrong. He ends up killing her. It's very, very sad. And I actually quite like something here, because I noticed something when I was listening to it. It makes the line here, the rosy off your cheeks, which is a sort of hint to red. And in the Screech's tale, he mentions the colour blue, which I heard in the song. So that sort of comes into something later, but we'll get to that. Anyway, it moved on from that song and went into Screech's tale. It says, our story, it starts right at the end. Heard the life of poor Jenny, clocked out like Big Ben. Dear Screech, dear boy, where did he go? He melted into the black night just like snow. And then he knocks on his guitar to suggest Screech, knocking at the door of someone else. So our story starts right at the end. So the story of Screech starts after the events of what just happened to Jenny. So, he heard the life of poor Jenny, clocked out like Big Ben. So her life's gone, possibly at the toll of the bell. And Screech has legged it into the night. He says, "Dear Screech, dear boy, where did you go? He melted into the black night just like snow." So he's fucking legged it. He's gone, "Shit, I've just killed someone. Run." And there's the knock at the door. "Patrick, man, let me in. Please open the door. I think I fucked up, Patrick. I really fucked up, man. I'm not sure. I got crazy, left this lady lying still on the floor. I think I killed her, Patrick. Come on, man. I can't knock no more." But Screech kept on knocking till his knuckles became sore. There was no sign of Patrick down at number 54. No refuge for our villain. To the bitter hands of fate. Have something far more sinister in mind. That does await. So, he's killed Jenny seemingly by accident. He didn't mean to kill her. He was just trying to scare her. And he's run off to his friend Patrick's house. He's, banging on the door going, "Come on, man, let me in. I think I've made a mistake. I think I've done something stupid. I need help." But apparently there's nobody there. And it says, so there's no refuge for our villain. The bitter hands of fate have something far more sinister in mind. So, he's got nowhere to go. He's got nowhere to hide. There's something else coming Screech's way. And then I like the way he did this as well. He sort of stopped, got a phone out of his pocket, and make it look like he was making a phone call. He goes, interlude spoken. "Hello, hey baby, you in?" "No, nothing really, I'm just a bit tired. Listen, can I swing around yours for a few moments? I really just miss you, babe." "What the fuck do you mean you're busy? You fucking bitch, for fuck's sake." Now, that sounds like maybe Screech is phoning a girlfriend, possibly. Saying, I need somewhere to go. Can I come around yours? This, that, and the other. That might be what that is. It's a bit unclear, but that's what it suggests. Anyway, sirens sound approaching like a banshee in the night, a shrill cry of justice cutting like the sharpest knife. But Screech was never one to run, not one to miss a fight. One hand upon his blade, he turned his face to the blue light. Again, there's that blue that I mentioned earlier. "Come on then, you fucking cunts, let's fucking have you then. I'm Screech, I'm the boss, I'm the ender of men. You think that uniform you're wearing means you own these streets? These are my fucking streets, and they call me fucking Screech." Richard was an officer who stood at 6'3", working London on the night shift. What he didn't think he'd see was a boy running at him like an animal possessed. With no time to hesitate, he fired 4 bullets at Screech's chest. At which point, again, he did something interesting with his guitar to replicate the gunshots. Again, brilliant. The video and the actual performance on the guitar are so integral. Anyway, they're important to the actual song. It plays a vital part. I mean, that goes without saying when it comes to music most of the time. But this plays specific story beats. It's very clever. So, sirens approach. So someone's called it in. Maybe someone's seen Jenny get attacked. Maybe someone's walked past her on the street and decided to call the police. I don't know. So Screech was never one to run, not one to miss a fight. So he's, come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. If someone came at him, he wasn't one to back down. And, all these sirens are coming towards him and he's like, right, I'm going to fight my way out of this. So he's going, come on, let's have you. I'm the boss, I'm the ender of men. He thinks he's the shit, and it could be like drugs or whatever that have given him this false sense of empowerment or whatever. But yeah, so, and he's not scared of the police. He's like, do the police really think they own these streets? I own these streets. These are my streets. I was born and raised on these streets. So, he's of that sort of mindset. And it says here, Richard was an officer, 6'3", so he's not a small bloke. He's quite a big guy, and he sees this apparently 14-year-old kid running at him with a knife. So he thinks, I'm in imminent danger, pulls out his gun, goes pop, 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 and shoots Screech 4 times in the chest. And it carries on. A story ends right at the start. Young Screech and poor Jenny lying 1 street apart. An officer shaken by the boy that he claimed. 2 bodies lay lifeless. It's such a shame. It's such a shame. So Screech didn't even get that far away from where he killed Jenny. Whether he killed her on purpose or not is a different matter. But, they're only about 1 street apart and they're both laying there in the street now dead. And he's saying, such a shame, it's such a shame. And the police officer's like, whoa, I didn't mean to or want to kill the kid, but he was coming at me with a knife. I had no choice. Generally, police in England don't carry guns, not very often, but some of them do. But anyway, it's not the point. It then moves into Violet's tale, and that starts in a hospital and immediately paints a bad picture from the very start when he starts telling the story. And like I said, when he starts his song, bit of guitar, then he comes in with those sort of interesting vocalizations, the ooh, 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 to sort of draw you into the song. London City, far from pretty, 2005, so maybe he's talking about the year 2005. A lady down in Paddington is fighting just to stay alive. Rhythmic beeps and blood-stained sheets, our lady weeps, she's tired and frail. To set the scene, we must rewind the hands of time for Violet's tale. So, where we come into Violet's tale, she's in the hospital, she's bleeding, she's tired and frail, she's crying, he's saying the city at this point in time, it's not nice, it's not a good time, it's not a good place. She's in the hospital being tended to, but he's like, to set the scene, we need to go back and I'll explain what's happening. This part of the song was really harsh. I mean, the first two parts of the song, they had their tragic elements, but this one is heartbreaking. And I've spoken about some of the themes within this song before, and it's something that really rings close to home for me, and I might explain as we go. But Violet was a silent girl, grew up with violent starts. Her mother was a drinker and her father was a bastard. Every night he'd tuck her tight, but he never left the room. I'll spare you of the things he did, I'm sure her mother knew. Now, that isn't even the whole verse there, but those lines are crushing. So he's saying she was a quiet girl, kept quiet, kept to herself. She grew up with violent starts. So she grew up in a bad situation from the very start, her mother was a drinker, her father was a bastard, and he said every night he'd tuck her tight and never leave her room. I'll spare you the things he did, I'm sure her mother knew. So you can leave, you don't even need to leave it to the imagination as to what he means there. Her father obviously sexually abused her, and the mother just sat in the other room knowing full well what's going on, but did nothing, apparently. Violet was a silent girl. She moved out at 16. A semi-detached council flat paid by a welfare scheme. Packing shelves at Tesco, stacking jars like pickle bricks. That's an interesting line. I like that. She met a boy named Stevie, and he was a little prick. Violet was a silent girl, and Violet she fell fast. See, Stevie was a wrong 'un, but he knew how to charm her. Every night he'd tuck her tight but never left the room. History repeats itself. He'd paint her black and blue and dark. She never stood a chance. The devil comes to dance. I mean, this is just heartbreaking. She was assaulted by her father in very unpleasant ways. So as soon as she hit the age of 16, she was like, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to escape. She got a council flat. She got a job stacking shelves at Tesco's like pickled bricks. I like that line. It's interesting because we used to have something. There was toys when I was a kid, long time ago, called stickle bricks. And it just interesting. But anyway, so she was stacking shelves at Tesco, and she met this boy called Stevie, but he was an arsehole. And Violet was a silent girl. Violet, she fell fast. Now she either fell in love with him, or she fell victim to him. It could be read both ways. It says Stevie was a wrong 'un, but he knew how to charm her. So he was a toxic person, but he had the sort of... I can't think of the word I'm looking for. He was one of those narcissistic people who was like, I'm going to treat you like shit, but I'm going to speak to you in such a way that you still love me despite the fact that I'm treating you like crap. And it goes, every night he'd tuck her in tight but never left the room, and history repeats itself. So again, this is alluding to what her father did to her. He's doing the same. He says he'd paint her black and blue and dark. So in other words, he used to beat her black and blue, used to beat the living crap out of her. And, you know, this is something that hits hard, because domestic violence is something that rings very close to home for me, because I've been a victim of it myself, and it breaks my heart. I mean, I know this is a story, but it's still one of those things, you know, if you've experienced it, it hits you really hard. It says she never stood a chance, the devil comes to dance. So, you know, she tried to escape her father, but she ended up falling into the exact same situation with a guy that she'd fallen in love with, and who managed to convince her that he was a nice guy, but he wasn't, and this and the other. Violet, why are you always so quiet? And then he knocks on her bedroom door, and he's irate. So why have you closed yourself in this room and being quiet? Why are you hiding away from me? And he's getting quite angry. He's been drinking and smoking, he's up late, and he stands by her bedside. He shakes, but her eyes stay shut. You fucking slut, I know you're up. And he pinches her eyelids and folds them up. Violet, why are you lying to me, Violet? She stays silent. Things turn violent. And again, he makes some interesting sounds, and that's the sounds of his fists when they fall like a crashing pilot. So at this point, Stevie, it was Stevie, wasn't it? You know, he's drunk, he's been smoking probably ganja, marijuana, whatever, and he's banging on the door, you know, why are you ignoring me? Why are you being so quiet? He bursts into the room, stands by the bedside, and she's literally trembling in fear under the covers, but her eyes stay shut, so she's like pretending she's asleep or something like that. And he starts yelling at her, calling her names, saying, I know you're awake, why are you ignoring me? So he holds her eyes open, he goes, why are you lying to me? Again, you know, pretending to be asleep, ignoring him, this, that and the other. She stays silent, things turn violent. So again, he starts beating on her, hitting her, you know, the sounds of his fists when they fall like a crashing pilot. Again, he uses some interesting wordplay to explain what he's doing, but, you know, so, in other words, she tried to get away from him, tried to be quiet, you know, tried to keep to herself, but he's like off his trolley, comes in, starts beating her back and blue. Hits like hailstones, one to the collarbone, full force, full blown, blood spat, bone crack, knick-knack, paddywhack. One to the jaw and a tooth spat detached, fists connects and disconnects a bone. A quick deflect to misdirect the blow, but nonetheless his punches met her throat. Such a mess, he's left her bruised and broke. Violet, why are you always so silent, Violet? Why are you such a liar, Violet? Do you think I want to do this, Violet? In character, she stays silent. Well, fucking say something, Violet. Silence. Fucking say something, Violet. Silence. Wait. Say something, Violet. Not one word. She stays quiet. And that bit is just... that is soul-crushing. You know. So, like hailstones, you know, he's hitting her, you know, punches her in the collarbone, probably breaks it, you know, full force, full-blown, blood splat, bone crack. So the suggestion that, like, he's broken her collarbone, there's blood spraying everywhere. You know, one to the jaw, tooth spat detached, you know, so he's hit her in the jaw, it's dislodged one of her teeth, and, you know, the tooth has perhaps come flying out of her mouth. I mean, I had my jaw broken in a similar sort of situation. Fist connect and disconnect a bone, so dislocation, or again a break. You know, quick deflects to misdirect the blow, so maybe she's trying to fight back and, you know, stop the hits, but nonetheless his punches met her throat, so he's punched her in the throat, and that is a very traumatic injury to get punched in the throat, you know, and it can severely interrupt your breathing. Such a mess, he's left her bruised and broke. And he's standing over, and I like the way he did this bit in the video, you know, he's standing over, you know, an imaginary Violet laying on the floor, you know, and he's shouting at, you know, what, Violet, why are you so silent? You know, why don't you say something? Why aren't you coming back at me? Why aren't you retaliating? You know, why are you such a liar? Why do you think I want to do this? That is such a common line from these abusive people. You know, you think I like doing this to you? You bring this on yourself. You know, the whole gaslighting thing. You know, I'm only doing this because I love you. I'm only doing this because you make me do it. And that's the sort of thing he's bringing across there. You know, he's shouting at her, you know, the typical gaslighting, narcissistic, abusive things. And it says, in character, she stays silent. So, she's sort of the suggestion that normally when this happens, she stays quiet, she cowers in the corner, doesn't say anything. And he coming out, well, say something. And, I like the way he did this, because he's like doing that violent shouting down at the ground, and then he sort of turns around, completely changes his persona, as he becomes the narrator. He goes, silence, she says nothing. And then he goes back to the shouting and arguing, the shouting, and then he turns back around and goes, silence again. I love the way he did that. So he goes, well, say something, Violet, silence. Fucking say something, Violet, silence. And then his demeanour changes. He goes, wait, say something, Violet. Not one word. She stays quiet. So, he's shouting at her and, she's not replying. And then it suddenly dawns on him, she's not saying anything. She's not even whimpering. She's not moving. He's come to the realisation that he's beaten her very severely. And then it goes back to the opening verse of this part of the song. London City, far from pretty, 2005. A lady down in Paddington is fighting just to stay alive. The doctor, in a state of shock, saw something here so very wrong. See, Violet, she was pregnant. Poor Violet, she was 9 months gone. Turning to the doctor, Violet broke her silence and she cried, if I'm to die right here tonight, please let my baby stay alive. The doctor soon regained composure, called the surgeon to come in. As Violet's world turned to black, the curtains closed in, the lights went dim. Again, heartbreaking. So it returns back to the beginning of the song with the way the verse starts out, and the doctor in a state of shock. He's looking at this young girl who's been beaten black and blue. She's 9 months pregnant. She's just about to give birth. In the scale of things, this woman's been beaten almost to death, and she's heavily pregnant, and the doctor's like, what the fuck am I looking at? What has happened here? Because I can only assume that what's his name again, James or Jamie or whatever it is, I can't remember what his name was. Well, Stevie, sorry, yeah. He's either dropped her off outside the hospital and legged it, or he's called an ambulance and legged it, so they've just found her on her own. I'm guessing Stevie's made sure he got out of Dodge before anything happened. So they've found her like this, and they're like, what the fuck has happened here? And, Violet, eventually, she finds her voice and says to the doctor, if I'm to die, please make sure that my baby survives. And so the doctor sort of goes, right, okay, I need to focus here, need to get my composure, and gets the surgeon in to either deliver or whatever for the baby. It says, as Violet's world turned to black, the curtains closed, the lights went dim. So Violet, unfortunately, passes. Then it heads back to the beginning of that verse again. In London City, far from pretty, 2005, a lady down in Paddington just lost the fight to stay alive. A tragedy or a miracle, it happened on these very streets. Two twins are laying side by side, a girl named Jenny and a boy named Screech. And that is absolutely soul-crushing, because it turns out that Violet is the mother of Jenny and Screech has just murdered his own sister and ended up getting shot by a police officer. So, that twist right at the end, literally the last two lines turn the whole thing on its head. And this is why I mentioned the colours. Because it said, in Jenny's bit, he mentioned the rosy cheeks, suggestion of red. And in Screech's thing, it mentions, turns his face to the blue light. So there's the red, the blue, red and blue, violet. So, yeah, this is an absolutely heartbreaking piece of music. But I've said this many, many times before. I love it when music tells a story. And this is why I do these videos the way I do them. This is why I like to talk about the lyrics. Because there are so many people that'll just listen to a piece of music and they'll ignore what the song is talking about. I've spoken about many, many metal songs. They've talked about homelessness, depression, mental health, domestic violence, and things like that. And I like looking into these stories and talking about them. And normally when you'd listen to that song, you might catch it, but just to listen to it, would you have? Unless you paid attention to what was happening. And this is one hell of a piece of music. From what I understand, this whole thing was an EP. I think it's something like a 6-track EP. You know, it's got intros and interludes in between each part, but the 3 main parts, you know, come together in this one video here and tells a bloody tragic story. I mean, it is a horrific but brilliantly told story. I love the way he's put it together, and he's done it so very, very well. And, you know, that twist at the end just brings everything together and deals that last gut punch. You know, the fact that Violet is the mother of Jenny and Screech. And, you know, Jenny and Screech probably... do they even know that they are related to each other? Probably not. You know, both of them probably ended up in the foster system, which is probably why both of them are sort of pretty much living on the streets. They're not necessarily homeless, but, you know, living most of their lives on the streets. That's why they're such... can't think of the word I'm looking for, you know, not broken people, but, you know, living such bad lifestyles. You know, she's selling her body, he's basically a gangbanger, for want of a better word. You know, they probably don't know that they're related to each other. And, you know, it just turns out that Screech just murdered his own sister. And, I mean, that is heavy. That is a hell of a piece of music. And I said it when I looked at High Ren. This guy is brilliant. The way he puts these songs together is absolutely genius. It is absolutely fascinating to me. And, you know, several people, when I looked at High Ren, told me a lot of information about Ren. But, you know, are all of his songs just him and a guitar? Does he have other ones where there is things like drum machines and stuff in the background? You know, people have said, you know, a lot of his music does vary and change, and he's millions of different genres packed into one. I mean, in this video alone, you had reggae moments in there, you had rap moments in there, he had all sorts just bundled into one. And people mentioned that he calls himself bardcore, and I've got to say, I love the term. I love it. I think it's brilliant. But I even said when I looked at High Ren as well, it was like poetry, because, you know, a lot of it was almost spoken rather than sung. But there are sung moments, there are rapped moments, there was like those sort of reggae moments in there. He is a fascinating artist, and there is so much more material that I need to look through. And like I said, when I looked at High Ren, I got dozens, if not hundreds, of suggestions of other tracks to look at. And like I said, this one specifically, The Tale of Jenny and Screech, was the most overwhelmingly popular one that I was told to look at. There are dozens more, and you can guarantee I'm going to write all of them down, because I want to investigate this further, because he is an absolutely fascinating artist to me. And wow, this video is almost an hour long. This is possibly one of the longest videos I have ever done. But I really wanted to sort of delve in and see what was going on with this, because, you know, people pointed out I missed out things on the High Ren video. And that wasn't intentional. I didn't intentionally avoid any parts of it. It's just there was a lot of lyrics, and I thought people aren't going to want to listen to me waffling on for over an hour. And there was one person who commented on the video saying the worst thing about this video is you're sitting there talking about yourself for 30 minutes. I didn't talk about myself for 30 minutes. I barely mentioned myself at all. I spoke about the song. So what that was all about, I don't know. But, you know, I didn't think people would want to listen to me talking about the lyrics of a song for 30, 40, 50 minutes. So that's why I didn't go through the whole lot. You know, I wasn't intentionally missing things out. I was just picking out the bits that I thought told the story. And there may have been bits that I missed. But it wasn't intentionally done. I just thought people wouldn't want to listen to me waffle on for that long. But with this one, I wanted to delve into it. And I mean, like I said, the song itself was close to 15 minutes. So it was bound to be a long video anyway. And I'm waffling now. But yeah, absolutely. This guy fascinates me. I think he is brilliant. He is very, very clever. Very, very clever. I love the way he uses the words, you know, the way he crafts the lines. And I love the minimalistic style of the music. It's brilliant. And the way he sort of narrates a part, then he takes on the personas of these characters as well. He's a brilliant storyteller. He is fascinating. He is brilliant. I love it. But anyway, like I said, this video has gone on for about an hour now, so I'm going to leave it at that. If anybody would like to add anything, you know, maybe if there's anything I've missed out from the story, please do let me know. Like I say, I've still got dozens of other videos suggested me for Ren to look at, and they will come in the future. I probably won't do them as soon as I've done this one after looking at High Ren, but I wanted to find out why this one was so vehemently suggested, and also I wanted to find out more about who he was as a musician. So, you know, I will be looking at more Ren in the future. It might take me a while because, you know, there are other songs I want to look at as well outside of just Ren. But yeah, this was brilliant. But I'm going to leave it as it is. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like or a subscribe if you haven't already. It would really, really mean the world to me. You know, I've been doing this for almost 7 years now, and not even 3% of people watching my videos are actually subscribed. So, you know, it's a little bit disheartening because I like to talk about what the songs are about, and I don't think any other reaction channel does that. If they do, there's very few of them. You know, I like to talk about the meanings, the morals, the stories, and the themes behind songs. And it's something that gets overlooked quite often, especially in heavy metal, where people think that heavy metal is all about violence, murder, gore, and Satan worship, which is the farthest thing from the truth. And I want to dispel that, but I also want to have this conversation about what a song means to people. You know, I think it was Dave Grohl said, you know, you could sing a song to 30,000 different people, and they will sing it back to you for 30,000 different reasons. You know, because what one person's interpretation of a song might be different to somebody else's. It might mean something different to them. Certain aspects might stick to them, you know, stick out to them more than others, you know. And this is why I do what I do, because I want to have that conversation. I want to have that discussion surrounding, you know, what does this song mean to you? How do you interpret what the song is about? That's why I do what I do. Rather than just looking at a song going, yeah, it's good, no, it's bad. You know, I want to investigate. I want to delve deeper into the music. So, you know, that's why I do what I do. That's why I spend so long talking about the lyrics. But anyway, you know, if you could like and subscribe, it would really mean the world to me. It doesn't cost you anything, takes a fraction of a second, but it does make the biggest difference to me and the channel. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to leave that as it is. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
It was a quiet dark night in an empty street somewhere in London City. Jenny walked alone, she was dragging her feet. She was heading back home to sleep. Well, she knew this town, she knew this floor, because she walked it about 1,000 times before. She wanted to escape.